Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, where we dive into the world of coding and explore solutions to some of the most interesting problems out there. Today, we're going to tackle a problem from LeetCode, called number of strings that appear as substrings in Word. This problem is classified as easy, but it's a great opportunity to practice our coding skills and think about how we can solve it in a simple and efficient way. So, let's get started. The problem states that we have a list of patterns, which are essentially strings, and a word, which is also a string. We need to find out how many of these patterns appear as substrings within the word. For example, if we have the word hello and the patterns he and lo, we would count both of these patterns because they appear as substrings in the word. Our goal is to write a function that takes in these patterns and the word, and returns the number of patterns that appear as substrings. Now, let's think about how we can solve this problem. The intuition here is to think about how we search for something in a piece of text. Imagine you're looking for a specific word in a book. You would start at the beginning of the book and scan through it, looking for the word. If you find it, you would move on to the next page and continue searching. In a similar way, we can search for each pattern in the word by scanning through the word and checking if the pattern appears at any point. This can be achieved using a simple loop and some string searching functionality. To solve this problem, we can follow a straightforward approach. We'll start by initializing a counter variable to keep track of the number of patterns that appear as substrings. Then, we'll iterate over each pattern in the list of patterns. For each pattern, we'll use the string searching functionality to check if the pattern exists in the word. If it does, we'll increment the counter. Finally, we'll return the counter value, which represents the number of strings that appear as substrings in the word. Now, let's take a look at the code. We have a class called solution, with a method called num of strings, which takes in a vector of strings, representing the patterns, and a string, representing the word. We initialize a counter variable, called count, to 0. Then, we iterate over each pattern in the vector of patterns using a for loop. For each pattern, we use the find method of the string to check if the pattern exists in the word. The find method returns the position of the first character of the first match. If no matches are found, it returns a special value called string npos. So, we check if the result of the find method is not equal to string npos. If it's not equal, that means the pattern was found. So we increment the counter. Finally, we return the counter value. Now, let's talk about the time and space complexity of this solution. The time complexity is O, n asterisk m asterisk k, where n is the number of patterns, m is the length of the word, and k is the maximum length of a pattern. This is because the find method has a time complexity of O, m asterisk k, and we're calling this method for each pattern. The space complexity is O, 1. Excluding the space required for the input and output. This is because we're only using a constant amount of space to store the counter variable, regardless of the input size. And that's it for today's video. I hope you guys understood the solution to the number of strings that appear as substrings in Word problem. If you have any questions or you'd like to share your own approach, please leave a comment below. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and comment your approach below.